Commissioner, we do have a quorum.
So, good morning, everyone. It's 9:01. I'm gonna call the meeting to order. John, could you do the roll call, please?
Yes. Jerry Abrahams. Cindy Butts.
Here.
Wendy Clark. Phil DeFranzo.
Here.
Heidi DeWingert.
Here.
Claudio Gualtieri. Timothy Hodges.
Here.
Catherine McKinnon.
Here.
Commissioner Mascara Bruno.
Here.
Commissioner Perez. Franklin Perry. Matt Puglisi.
Here.
Chelsea Ross. Sarah Sanders.
Here.
Lisa Tepper Bates. Greg Ugalde.
Here.
We do have a quorum in attendance for the meeting.
Don. Don, could you also do the public comments?
Of course. This is the only opportunity on the agenda for the public to provide comments. If you would like to provide a comment, please unmute yourself and state your name, or if you're in the room, please let us know. To ensure that everyone has the opportunity, comments will be limited to 3 minutes. Hearing no comments, the public comment period has now ended. Commissioner?
Thank you. Next on the agenda is the CEO, Executive Director's report. Nandini is on vacation, so Hazin is going to give us a report.
Good morning. So in your package is the CEO report, and the report does include a brief recap on the housing market and the recent ribbon cuttings and groundbreakings that CHFA staff attended. Also, just to report, on May 16, you have heard that Moody's downgraded the U.S. government credit to AA1 from AAA. While CHFA, we do have exposure or rely on U.S. government credit, Moody's a few days later did affirm our rating at AAA. And in fact, we did sell bonds yesterday. And we were successful. We will be providing a pricing recap at the next Finance Committee meeting. Beyond that, also, I'm assuming everybody heard on May 22nd in Washington, the House passed the 2025 reconciliation bill that includes provisions that would benefit CHFA and other housing finance agencies. The bill is currently with the Senate, and we are hoping that provisions, at least relating to affordable housing, would remain the same. Beyond that, I'll be happy to answer any questions the board may have at this time.
Thank you. Any comments or questions for Hazin? All right, hearing on, let's move on to Mortgage Committee. We have 2 resolutions and Pat is going to present them. So Pat, go ahead with the first one.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. At yesterday's Mortgage Committee meeting, Sarah Simonelli presented a request for construction-only financing for Angela Gardens in Enfield. The request was for tax-exempt bond financing in the form of a construction loan not to exceed $14,640,000, interest only for 24 months at a rate not to exceed 5.92%. Angela Gardens will redevelop an existing vacant property to create 45 new units of affordable elderly housing. The project site exists within the larger Felician Sisters of North America campus and was most recently used as a congregate-style dormitory housing and convent. The building has been vacant for over 2 years. The proposed development will include the substantial rehabilitation of the existing building, along with the construction of a new 3-story addition, providing 45 total units for residents 62 years or older and at or below 50% AMI. 4 of the units will be studios and the remaining 41 units will be 1-bedroom units. All units will be supported through a HUD 202 rental assistance contract. Construction is set to start in the 3rd quarter of this year and is projected to be completed in the 4th quarter of next year, at which time the CHFA construction mortgage will be paid in full by a combination of tax credit equity and DOH funding. In addition to the CHFA financing, other sources include $11.4 million in 4% tax credit equity, $6.6 million in the DOH Flex Fund, $650,000 in the form of a seller's note, and $9.8 million in the form of a HUD 202 loan. Members of the mortgage committee unanimously approved the request, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Pat. Can I have a motion to approve the resolution presented by Pat?
Motion to approve?
A second.
Second.
Any comments or questions?
I do just have one question for Pat. When you say seller financing, I just realized that's in the capital stack. What level of priority does that have?
It's actually it's usually outside of the capital stack, Greg, so it'll be paid from the distribution to the developer from either deferred developer fee or cash fee.
Oh, I got you. Okay, so it isn't, right. So all the mortgages, everything else is recorded and this stands outside of that. That makes sense. Okay.
Any other questions or comments? All right, Dawn, roll call.
Jerry Abrahams, Cindy Butts,
Yes.
Wendy Clark, Phil DeFronzo,
Yes.
Heidi DeWinger,
Aye.
Claudio Gualtieri, Timothy Hodges,
Yes.
Catherine McKinnon,
Aye.
Commissioner Mascara Bruno,
Yes.
Commissioner Perez,
Yes.
Franklin Perry, Matt Puglisi,
Yes.
Chelsea Ross, Sarah Sanders,
Yes.
Lisa Tepper Bates, Greg Ugalde.
Aye.
The vote passes unanimously.
Thank you, Dawn. Pat, you're gonna present the next resolution for Windward Apartments.
Yes, thank you. At yesterday's mortgage committee, Liz Valagorski made a request for financing for Windward Apartments Phase 2 in Bridgeport. The total financing request was not to exceed $20,500,000. The financing is structured with an interest-only tax-exempt construction note of approximately $15 million at 6.4% for 10 months. Tax-exempt construction to perm note of approximately $4.5 million at a rate of 6.4%. With an initial interest-only period of up to 10 months and then fully amortizing over 40 years. And finally, $1 million from the Affordable Housing Fund at a rate of 1% to be paid interest only during the construction period. And then with 25% of adjusted cash flow after the full repayment of the deferred developer fee. The project will also receive 4% tax credits and will result in the completion of Phase 2 of the redevelopment of the Marina Village property in the South End neighborhood of Bridgeport. This second phase of development will utilize approximately 2 acres of the 15-acre site and will consist of 1 building with 51 new low-income multifamily housing units with 6 studio units, 21 bedroom units, and 25 two-bedroom units and 34 surface parking spaces. 9 units will be for households at or below 25% AMI. 8 at or below 35% AMI, 3 units at or below 50% AMI, 4 at or below 60% AMI, and 27 units at or below 80% AMI. In addition to the financing being offered by CHFA, other sources include $13.25 million in tax credit equity, $1.237 million in deferred developer fee and developer cash equity, $1 million in investment tax credits, and $7.2 million in a combination of DOH, HTF, and flex funds. Members of the mortgage committee approved the request unanimously, and I'll take any questions.
Thank you, Pat. I have a motion to approve the Windward Apartments resolution.
So moved, Heidi.
Thank you, Heidi. Second.
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 Thank you. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, Dawn, roll call, please.
Jerry Abrahams, Cindy Butts,
Yes.
Wendy Clark, Phil DeFronzo,
Yes.
Heidi DeWinger,
Aye.
Claudio Gualtieri,
Aye.
Timothy Hodges,
Yes.
Catherine McKinnon,
Aye.
Commissioner Mascaro Bruno,
Yes.
Commissioner Perez,
Yes.
Franklin Perry, Matt Puglisi,
Yes.
Chelsea Ross, Sarah Sanders,
Yes.
Lisa Tupper Bates,
So key.
Greg Ugalde.
Aye.
The vote passes unanimously.
Motion carries. Next resolution is, regarding the QAP public hearing. So Terry now is just going to, present that resolution.
Thank you. The resolution before you is to authorize a public hearing for the 2026 and 2027 qualified allocation plan. CHFA, as Connecticut's Light Tech agency, develops the state's QAP, reviews applications for tax credits, allocates those credits in accordance with policies and priorities that are articulated in the QAP. Among other things, the IRS requires that state allocation plans prioritize projects that serve the lowest income tenants and ensure affordability for the longest period of time. The board's QAP task force met with staff regularly this year from January through May to provide guidance and direction in the development of the draft QAP before you. Additionally, in developing this draft, staff held several public input sessions to gain knowledge and experience from interested parties and stakeholders. We also engaged with Nova Braddock to learn from them as well. The resulting draft QAP before you and the subject of the public hearing was unanimously endorsed by the board task force at its meeting last week. In addition to streamlining language where possible, the goal in this QAP was to ensure efficiencies in cost and production wherever possible. So you'll notice several changes and a lot of red in the very beginning of the document. And that is because we've introduced a new section with the QAP goals from CHFA at the very forefront, and state housing policies, which used to be pretty well fleshed out, are eliminated to incorporate by reference, and the details removed to accommodate future amendments. Detailed in the memo before you are proposed revisions in some threshold items, preservation classification award criteria, and new construction points incentives. I'm just going to highlight a few of those proposed revisions. Under basic threshold requirements, you'll notice plans and specs are increased to 90% as a threshold item. And this is to ensure project readiness and accurate cost estimating. We've additionally increased the minimum construction hard cost expenditure in preservation classification projects to $35,000 per unit. This had been unchanged since, I think, 2014. In the preservation classification, 2 new review items are included. And you'll recall that we rank these review items in order to determine the preference for preservation deals. Proposed development is a subsequent phase of an existing multi-phase development is one new item, and proposed developments with demonstrated cost efficiencies is the other. Under the new construction classification, we've revised the points structure somewhat. Rental affordability contains 2 new incentive opportunities and an adjustment to the supportive housing points. A point is added for resident service coordinators with a connection to multifaceted organizations in the community that provide various clinical and wellness services. Points are added for the subsequent phase of an ongoing previously funded multi-phase development with prior phases in the portfolio that are in good standing. And points for supportive housing set-aside units are split between those for which the applicant commits to working with the CAN, the Coordinated Access Network, and for those which the applicant commits to accepting referrals from any program administered by or on behalf of a state agency. Additionally, points are added to encourage setting aside units for formerly homeless households, moving out of facilities or service-heavy supportive housing options. Under financial efficiency and sustainability, the points are increased in this category for both hard cost and soft cost efficiencies and reduced for sustainability measures, although none of those measures have changed. Under housing location and need, you'll notice this category is new and is a replacement for opportunity characteristics. It fairly and equitably distributes points incentives to proposed developments where the need for housing is greatest and retains incentives for towns with less than 10% assisted and deed restricted housing. There's an exhibit B at the end of the QAP, which will enable folks to find a town by town score utilizing cost burden data and household formation data to score towns based on their ranking within a quintile on the Housing Needs Index. CHFA's REMO division developed this Housing Needs Index using the American Community Survey data, which is can be utilized as needed when updates occur there. Under qualifications and experience, points are added to incentivize and recognize developer performance. Points will be awarded with a demonstrated ability to complete LIHTC program developments on time and on budget as evidenced by past performance. A public hearing is anticipated to take place on June 12th at 1 p.m. via Zoom. Interested parties unable to attend the public hearing may submit written comments by mail or email, and all comments will be summarized and presented to the Board of Directors for consideration at its regularly scheduled June or July meeting. So at this time, it's recommended that the board authorize a public hearing for the revised 26 and 27 QAP as presented.
Thank you, Terry. Can I have a motion to approve the resolution presented by Terry?
Motion to approve the resolution?
Second.
Correct. Thank you, Matt. Comments or questions?
Yes, Commissioner Claudio here. If I could ask, I know in the past, one of these factors, it was related to the opportunity characteristics, received some feedback, especially from legislators and local leaders in Eastern Connecticut. And I see that we've reflected and changed it and substituted out what appears to be a different consideration. Any sense of if this will be responsive to some of the criticism we had in the past about Eastern Connecticut and some pockets that do need housing, but maybe don't have some of those previously identified opportunity characteristics to still qualify and get the necessary points?
Yes, Claudio, actually, we met with some of the members of the Southeastern Connecticut delegation. We went over this point system and we also checked with other stakeholders, and it gives a more equal opportunity across the state, not only to Southeastern Connecticut, but it really came out we did it with all the towns in Eastern Connecticut. We went over with Austin and some other members, and they all agreed that this is the best way to proceed.
Excellent. Thank you for that explanation.
You're welcome. Any other question or comment? All right, you're none. Dawn, please roll call.
Jerry Abrahams. Cindy Butts.
Yes.
Wendy Clark.
Yes.
Phil DeFranco.
Yes.
Heidi DeWinger.
Aye.
Claudio Gualtieri.
Yes.
Timothy Hodges.
Yes.
Catherine McKinnon.
Aye.
Commissioner Mascaro Bruno.
Yes.
Commissioner Perez.
Yes.
Franklin Perry. Matt Puglisi.
Yes.
Chelsea Ross. Sarah Sanders.
Yes.
Lisa Tepper Bates.
Aye.
Greg Ugalde.
Aye.
The vote passes unanimously.
Thank you, Dawn. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is executive session. I would like to ask for a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Have a second.
Do we have to disclose what the executive session is for?
Yes, we
It's an
do.
update. It's an update on the CEO Executive Director Performance Review.
Okay.
Second.
Yes. comment, well, any other questions or comments? All right, thank you. Do we have to do the roll call?
Who was the second?
Second, who seconded?
I did,
Greg.
Greg.
Right.
Okay.
Back to the roll call.
Or we can do it unanimously.
All those in favor say yes.
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 Aye.
Any opposed?
Yes.
Abstain? Motion carries. Thank you. Dawn, you going to bring us to another
Yeah.
channel, right?
Yes, I'm gonna put you into a breakout room. And then Rob, if you can just confirm for me that the boardroom is clear, then Commissioner, you can stay where you are.
She can stay here. Yeah, you're good.
All right, very good. I'm opening the rooms now, so you should be whisked away here in just a moment. So sorry, we just have to put you into the room. I do it up here.
That was the last one, traffic. So next, the last item on our agenda is the consent agenda. Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So move.
A
This is
second.
George.
Thank you,
Second.
Commissioner. Thank you, Claudio. Comments or questions on the consent agenda? All right, John, could you do the roll call, please?
Yes. Jerry Abrahams, Cindy Bucks,
Yes.
Wendy Clark,
Yes.
Phil DeFranco,
Yes.
Heidi DeWinger,
Aye.
Claudio Gualtieri,
Aye.
Timothy Hodges,
Yes.
Catherine McKinnon,
Aye.
Commissioner Mascara Bruno,
Yes.
Commissioner Perez,
Yes.
Franklin Perry, Matt Puglisi,
Yes.
Chelsea Ross, Sarah Sanders,
Yes.
Lisa Tupper Bates,
Aye.
Greg Ugalde.
Aye.
The vote passes unanimously.
Carries, if anybody has any comments or questions, otherwise can I have a motion to adjourn? the meeting?
I have a question.
Yes,
Could we add onto the agenda report next session to talk about two items? One is insurance costs in Connecticut and how that's affecting housing. Because it's blowing my mind when I see the cost of insurance and especially for our borrowers. It concerns me where you're going to see an increase in delinquencies based off of the increase in homeowners insurance. You know, when you're a larger income earner with residual income, it makes it's not as much of a pill to swallow. But when you're a first-time homebuyer, a CHFA borrower, and your homeowners insurance goes up substantially, it's something I just think I'd like to hear something about that next board meeting, like what we're doing and and then the second item I have is I would love to hear report on the number of foreclosures that are abandoned in the state, because I feel like I wonder if our loss mitigation process that we do for foreclosures, this is a more global, not just CHFA, but since our charter is to help with affordable housing, we talk about inventory, but there's a number of loans even that we're servicing where people walk away from it, and the court process, the legal process of getting the loan foreclosed on is prohibiting that property coming back onto the market. And I just wonder if there's an opportunity for us to get some data from our economics people to say, what is the percentage of foreclosures we have in Connecticut? Because I think that could be something we could appeal to the state about, and in other states that we work with, like in Florida, there's not as much of an issue in inventory because they don't have a long, drawn out mitigation process in foreclosures. And I'll stop talking.
I can ask the staff to see if they can get information on overall. I mean, do not talking about just CHFA foreclosure, but overall.
Yeah, I just think it's something as
So-
a group we should, since our mission is not just doing loans, our mission is affordable housing in Connecticut. I just wonder, I would just be curious. Anecdotally, I see a lot of them in certain parts of the state, and I just would love to know what the statistics are on that.
Thank you. Any other comment? All right, so gonna have a motion to adjourn the meeting. Thank you, Phil.
So move. This is George.
Thank you. Can I have a second?
Second, Claudio.
All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed to go home?
Thanks,
All right.
everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you,
Bye.
everyone. Have a great
Bye.
day.
Aye.
So how do we